This video is sponsored by Squarespace. It reminds me a lot of some white hoodoos that I photographed here. I think it was exactly a year ago, where it almost looks like fingers that are like pushing up underneath the ground. I know that might be kind of a weird way to think about it, but it has that kind of motion and that bend to it, and it feels almost like there's something inside of it. Instead of thinking about it in the positive of how this is just simply melting and creating the shape, I kind of like to think of it as the opposite. Think of it as something, some kind of force is pushing it up from the inside and is stretching it and is causing these lines and these breaks, and it's just pushing that rock upward. That's kind of the feeling that I have when I look at it, and that's where I imagine it being, even though I know the reality of how they're actually formed. I prefer my version of it. Oh yeah, this one here, this is a nice one. Absolutely love this. This one's great. You see how the light is catching the other side of it there? I don't want to go around there because I know I'm going to leave footprints in front of it. And I think I'm going to try to photograph this in a little bit. But that's basically what I try to do, in this time period where the sun is still fairly high. I mean, that's how far away? We're like an hour and 10 minutes away from sunset. And I can't really shoot much right now anyway, so it's a good chance just to scout around and just look. And basically what I've learned is that anything that's illuminated right now, if there's nothing obstructing it, nothing between, nothing higher than this, in other words, but basically if there's not much in the way, then whatever is being illuminated right now will be illuminated later when the light is good. And when the light is a little bit softer and has a little more color. Because right now it's still very strong and we have really, pretty strong shadows. It's very contrasty. It's a perfectly clear day too, so the clouds are not going to be my friend tonight, that's for sure. But this is lovely, and I really like how it's positioned here in the foreground. And then moving out into the background, there's more rocks, more hoodoos, more hills, and it just kind of keeps going back that way. So it gives some visual interest back there too. But this one's nice. I really like the light on the inside of that, how it's hitting. So Yeah. For later, crossing fingers. That was a nice, warm hike in. It's pretty warm today. It is, it's bright and clear and sunny and very warm. But it should be getting cooler from this point forward. And I think I've reached a pretty good spot to kind of stop and focus my attention a little bit. I'm in the back of a canyon back here, and I could see from back this way that there were some white sandstone hoodoos and some mounds and some interesting formations and shapes up here. You can see some of them back over here behind me. These look really nice. Some of them are catching some of that setting sun out to the west, which certainly could be an opportunity. Unfortunately, when the sky is this clear, the softest light is going to be right before it disappears, which means that, you know, I'll have like a few minutes probably to take an image. But, you know, that said, there will be hopefully some good warm ambient light afterwards. You know, some like reds and some purples in the air maybe. And, you know, this being New Mexico, oftentimes across the stratosphere from the other side, from wherever the sun is, you know, setting or rising, whichever is the opposite direction, you oftentimes get a nice band of color, a nice gradient out there right on the edge. And you get all kinds of like blues and purples and oranges and greens, and it's yeah, it's awesome. And that's one of the great things about New Mexico. It's just loads and loads of sky. I'm excited to you know, just start looking around here and well, seeing what I can find. Thanks to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. If you need a new website or domain, Squarespace can definitely help you out. I use Squarespace to publish my photography because their templates are clean, simple, minimal. They're perfect for photography or any type of creative work. I simply drag and drop my images into my web browser, create galleries, and then decide how I want my images to appear. And I can choose between creating a grid layout, or I can show one image at a time. I can do slideshows. I can also do lightbox views as well. All the proper tools that a photographer needs for their portfolio website. Best of all, Squarespace grows with you, so you can build an audience and market your work by starting an email newsletter. You can also open an online store and sell prints or digital products and downloads. Whatever it is you're trying to do with your website, whatever your needs are, Squarespace has the tools to make it happen. Even if you've never built a website or registered a domain, you can absolutely do it yourself by heading over to squarespace.com/Dominey and signing up for a free 30-day trial. And then whenever you're ready to go live with your website, use my last name, Dominey, to save 10% off a new website or domain. Wow, this is so wild. Amazing. All the different shapes and these rocks that are kind of like almost in this pool of sorts is what it looks like, because like the ground out here is mostly brown and tan in color, whereas all of this in the middle here, this is all white, like white sandstone. And this was most likely a much taller mound at some point, and all of these rocks were up on top of it. And then the hill just slowly eroded down and down and down until it compacted into the ground and left these rocks situated here. And of course, the bigger ones, the heavier rocks, compacted that sandstone and created the columns. Really, really nice. I love it's hitting the rocks at just the right 45-degree angle that gives everything some dimension and some depth. And it looks really, really cool. Yeah, I think this definitely has some promise. There's a lot of sky, unfortunately, a lot of blue sky. But maybe, I don't know, maybe I can get creative with it and figure out some way to work around it. But these rocks in the foreground, man, love their color. Just beautiful. It's hard to tell if there's anything here or not. Yeah. Ugh. Oh man, this is really starting to drive me nuts. I just, for whatever reason, can't seem to get a composition that I'm happy with here. I've been trying to do landscape, I've been trying to do portrait, I've been going left, I've been going right, up and down. And I don't know if it's just the sun that is just making me crazy. And it's just making it hard to see. I don't know what it is, but I just can't, for whatever reason, get this quite right. And it's one of those frustrating things where there is no right or wrong answer, right? There really is not. And it's just, making do with what you've been given and working with the elements, working with the light. And I just don't know. The thing that gives me pause is that my histogram is basically like goalposts right now, like football goalposts. Like it's just like whoosh, two giant walls on either side because the contrast is still so harsh. Part of my impatience with it and part of what frustrates me is because I know that I'm just going to have a tiny sliver of time available to me where I'll be able to get some degree of decent light. And then before I know it, it's going to be gone and I'm going to have to hike back. So, yeah. Just, you know, loads of fun. Loads of fun. Okay. I think I got it. Or at least I got something. What I ended up doing was coming forward and shooting across the canyon this way, or not really the canyon, but more like the gulch, and catching some of the side light and getting in close with a zoom lens to get rid of more of that sky and to just focus on, you know, the part of the landscape that I find to be just the most interesting, the most captivating, which is this cascade of orange rocks that are just coming down in this line on the side of the hill, and all of them are being illuminated by that on the side by that warm golden light, that sunset. And this is, yeah, I would say this is probably the best image I've taken so far. I mean, tonight. It's definitely what I would consider to be the most usable. So right now I am totally in play it safe mode. I am not trusting myself to do it, to just take a single exposure. So I'm just bracketing it and changing my focal length. I just keep like zooming in and out, repositioning just little bits, little micro changes here and there. Don't bump the tripod. And yeah, and this is when like my adrenaline is going, and when I'm in this kind of state, this kind of like heightened emotional state, I guess you would call it. I don't trust myself to make very good decisions, which I think is true for a lot of things in life. So at this point, I'm just like, okay, this looks good. I'm going to take as many as I possibly can, many variations as I can, and then just delete whatever I don't care for later. So, let's just enjoy for a minute the last bit of sun before it drops below the ridge over there. It's already too late for everything here. Everything's in shadow now. But it's so amazing how quick the sun drops when it's right on that line. Even though it's no faster than any other time of day, it just seems to take forever to get across, you know, the stratosphere during the day. But when you see it like this, you realize just how fast it truly is moving. Because while I'm talking, it's practically gone. One little bit left. Yep. What was that? Is that like 20, 30 seconds? Something like that? Yep. And now it's dark.